Tonight's introduction is called How to Change the Past. Although there has been some discussion on it previously, it is most likely prudent in reinforcing any practices that you may have initiated and implemented into your altering, changing, shifting the experiences in your daily lives. To that end, it's going to require a little bit of an understanding as to the nature of your reality in terms that you will be able to understand. Some of the processes are going to be generalized also for the purposes of relating the material as clearly as it can be without unnecessarily complicating the process and to accommodate the linear understandings in your 3D experience. Oftentimes, as you have lived your life throughout the years, there have been times when you may have responded or reacted to situations with some level of negative emotion, meaning disappointments, sadness, alarm, anxiety, stress, anger, and so forth. It's important to understand, and I have explained previously, that when these energies are triggered in your physicality, there are chemical reactions that occur in your body that ultimately lead to the neurons in your physical body storing the memory of the energies that were emitted as a result of the reactions that you had. Meaning, when you have experienced fear-based emotions in response to an interaction, a conversation, something that you were viewing, your body literally stores the memory of those energies within your flesh then. Hence, there is a numerous amount of offerings on how to, quote, heal yourself and the body and the ability to release these energies from your physical structure. Tonight's conversation is going to discuss and include some processes that you can utilize and implement with regards to transforming this stored energy within your physicality, that is, within the totality of your mind, body, spirit complex, then into an energy that serves your interests more efficiently and effectively. So what happens when you are having a conversation or an experience and you feel that sudden physical response to it that is a consequence of a fear-based belief or thought form within you? As those emotions are stored in your body is literally experiencing a physical response based on the memory complex that is ingrained into your body that was a result of a belief that triggered it. In a previous session, I suggested that you could ask yourselves the question, when you are having a negative response, to more effectively assist you while you are still experiencing the response, is to ask yourself, what must I believe in order for what I'm feeling to be true? And that is an important part of being able to undergo the process of self-examination from a patient, compassionate, and loving viewpoint. It is important that whenever you are engaging processes for the purposes of altering your experiences or achieving a next level goal that is important to you, that you do so with the understanding that it can be free of recrimination, self-judgment, and disappointment in oneself or one's life. For those energies do not serve your desires either. When you have experienced something in your past that is unpleasant in any way, shape, or form to you, one of the methods that you can use, one of them, is to recall the incident in a space where you have been able to elevate the level of appreciation that you feel for yourself and in your life. And what does that mean? That means you can deliberately take a few moments, a few minutes, if you will, and begin to contemplate positive thoughts about yourself that may sound something like this. Although, of course, you may use your own translation and your own verbiage in a way that you understand will elevate the feeling of appreciation for self. You can start out very generally by saying things like, there are so many good things in my life that I have to be grateful for. I'm really happy that I have a life that I have things to be grateful for. I have seen other lives that were not experiences that I choose to have myself. And so I'm very grateful that I don't have those experiences, that I'm having other experiences. While not all entirely perfect, many of them are very much appreciated. I appreciate the people in my life, and you can begin to think about the people that you appreciate in your life, people that you care for, who allow you to, whose relationship allows you to feel good. This is not the time for you to work on relationships, let me add as an aside. You want to begin to build the momentum, the energetic momentum of raising your emotions into the positive polarity. And so you can say these things to yourself, and you can make a list of the things that you are good at, and you can make a list of the things about your body that you appreciate. Any and all positive comments directed to the self, about the self in any way, or your lives is going to help you, and you will begin to feel the shift, the energy shift within you as you start allowing these thoughts to gain momentum. Once you have achieved a sufficient level of momentum, and you will feel it occur within you, will be the time that you will now remind yourself, now I'm going to temporarily and briefly recall an experience or an interaction that was very displeasing. And I'm only going to do it for the purposes of examining the interaction so that I can have the ability to allow it to mean something else to me. Oftentimes, experiences, whether they are engendering negative or positive responses, spring from one's perspectives on any particular subject, meaning any experience or interaction that you have will be wholly based from your own point of view, and therefore you will ascribe to such experiences or interactions the meanings that you give it from the framework of your perspectives, which are comprised of your thought systems and belief structures. It is also the place where judgment comes forward. But of course, as I have said before in the past, you can only observe something and sit in judgment of something as it relates to your own inner world and your own inner self. Meaning, if you are able to view others and other situations judgmentally, it is a form of a reflection of the judgment that one still has for oneself within self. And so again, I reiterate that this process is intended to be patient, to be kind and compassionate to self as you undergo these steps. And so you may want to remind yourself that as you are recalling any particular experience or interaction that was displeasing, to cognitively remind self that you are simply undergoing a process for the purposes of examining it. This will minimize greatly the ability for you to recall all the full emotional suite that may still be attached to said experience or interaction. As you allow yourself to recall only the most unpleasant parts of the incident in the past, once you have recalled it, it is important to resist the temptation to judge it or anything that may be involved in that, but just simply and only to recall the one or two most concerning aspects of the experience. And then you arrive at a choice point at this juncture in the process. You can decide to embrace the truth of your multidimensional self, the truth that you are more than just your five senses. You are not the body, and that who you really are, the eternal, unlimited aspect of yourself, has the ability then to leverage the situation in a way that it wants to, meaning to change the past, change the incident in a way that serves you better. And how does it serve you better? Meaning better, moving you into the positive polarities where you can experience a different embodiment of emotions about that same occurrence. Now, before I proceed, I want to remind you that the reason why you are able to recall an incident and then make the choice, should you desire to, make the choice to reframe the incident entirely different and in a way that pleases you. What do I mean by that? It means, and I will give a random example. If you were talking to a friend and the friend said some things that were disconcerting and triggered an emotional response in you based on another experience that you may have had in the past, and you're feeling those anxious emotions rise, and say the conversation did not end well. Let us say even that it may have hampered the ability for you to continue to enjoy the relationship, and your relationship temporarily ended in the physicality as well, in the physical form from that discussion. You can, when you arrive at the choice point to decide whether or not you are acceptable to, open to changing the energy of the experience that is currently entrenched in the neurons of your body, you can simply tell a different story. You can reframe the incident in a way that will allow you to recreate the story from a perspective that pleased you instead of upset you. You can reframe the entire story. You can reframe any portion of that story. You can reframe only the ending of that story. You can reframe that story about that occurrence, whether it happened last week, 2 days ago, last month, last year. You can reframe that story to suit you in a way that will allow you to now correlate different energy resonances that will be stored in your body and replace the existing ones that have been there.